Welcome to Dear Younger Me, a 10-part interview video series where we feature some of our very own VetTech alumni students who are currently working in various professional fields. We hope that these videos will give you a glimpse of the possibilities after you graduate for you to set bigger and bolder goals. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of our series, Dear Younger Me. My name is Anna and we have Elena.
Hi.
And we'll be your host for today. So today we have a special guest, Atika, which is an alumni of Temasek Polytechnic. So I'll just provide a brief background. So Atika graduated from Temasek Polytechnic and she worked as a veterinary technician at Mount Pleasant Veterinary Group and also volunteered at local dog shelters. So she then went to study at the University of Queensland for her Bachelors in Veterinary Technology after a year and a half of working, and now she's currently working as a senior veterinary technician at Pet. So let's welcome Atika. So Atika, would you like to briefly share more about yourself?
I'm currently working at Pet Health, yes, as a senior vet tech, and occasionally I bring in students from TP to mentor as well. So I work with a small group of vet technicians as well as my receptionist and two vets, and we work in a very small animal practice where we treat dogs and cats.
Regarding working as a veterinary technician and your studies, what made you choose the veterinary technician path instead of continuing to study to become a conventional veterinarian?
So I've always enjoyed the aspects of working strictly with animals. I believe being a vet would entail a bigger responsibility for me in terms of providing a proper diagnosis and treatment plans for the animals. So I love the back-end work, which allows me to interact more with the animals and even do the laboratory portion of my job.
So for being a vet tech, you don't really need to take a degree. So why do you decide to take a degree in veterinary technician?
I did not want to stay stagnant in what I was doing, so I wanted to expand my knowledge and the skill sets that I had. So it also opens up bigger work opportunities for me in the future in the veterinary field.
So since you studied vet tech in both TP and in university, so what's the main difference between the two?
So I guess in UQ, I had more opportunities to work with exotic and farm animals, which I didn't have the opportunity to do so in Temasek Poly. So I work with koalas, kangaroos, kookaburras, lizards, and animals which are all native to Australia. It was definitely a different experience for me, and I applied most of what I've learned in TP to my studies in UQ. And definitely UQ was more in-depth in their studies, and the studies that I had in TP provided me with a foundational criteria which I used to further my studies there.
What kind of qualities do you think you need to be a good vet tech?
I'd say it's important to have learnability. The road to being a vet tech is always a learning journey. So you have to continuously learn new skill sets, new knowledge about what you're doing to prevent yourself from being stagnant in what you do. So there's always new medications being rolled out every year, new methods of diagnosis and treatments for these animals. So it's very important to have that trait of learnability in you, because once you stop learning and stop studying, the process of treatment and diagnosis would also remain stagnant and you won't go further in your job. We do work in a setting where we're exposed to, say, drugs that are controlled, and sometimes you have to be true to yourself and not start stealing. You have to have that level of integrity between yourself and your colleagues so that your boss will actually believe in you and let you do things at work.
Okay, so the main qualities should just be compassion, integrity, and learnability.
Yes, that's right.
When studying in TP or UQ, were there any clinical experience or internships that really helped you in your career right now? Would you mind sharing some?
Sure. So upon graduation, I started off as a surgical vet tech. So the work processes were much easier for me to understand and carry out because of the practical and internship placements that we had at PP. So I was more familiar with, say, the pharmacology or the surgical aspects of my job, and I was more confident to carry out my duties as a surgical vet tech, as I had past work experience during my placements and clinicals. So the transition between being a student and a full-fledged vet tech at the point of time was smoother for me because of these experiences that I had when I was at PP.
So what do you do as a surgical vet tech?
So I basically carry out the anesthesia process. So from inducing the animal for surgery and putting a tube, intubate them, and then carry out the whole process of anesthesia. So monitoring them during surgery, make sure that they're stable, and recovery as well.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Do you decide to like specialize in anything?
I did do a specialization in UQ. So I tried to specialize in veterinary pathology and microbiology. So why I chose that was because pathology and microbiology do go hand in hand. And these were studies that were out of my comfort zone. I've never tried them before when I was at PP. So I enjoy challenging myself with this new experience. And when I was there, I wanted to be able to connect with not just live animals, but also understand the disease processes and how these cause the animals to fall sick, and observing how these processes take place. So I would say a vet tech technically doesn't have like a specialization. It's just like a vet tech has their own personal niche or something that they're really good at. So for me personally, I love surgery and anesthesia, so I really enjoy working in that field. But I do have friends who work in emergency and critical care, or they take care of animals in hospitals. So these are just things that we're really capable of doing. But I won't say it's a specialization. At the end of the day, we're all vet techs, and we just enjoy doing something that we're very passionate about.
So like, you studied uni in Queensland. So how was your experience studying abroad? How was it different from studying in Singapore?
I'd say it was from home, it's away from friends, it's very different because you're on your own and you're out there living alone and studying alone. So I do enjoy my time there, but I got pretty homesick and I missed Singaporean food most. So Queensland is a rather rural area. So the shops in Australia also closes at 5 in the afternoon. So there's not much nightlife. Then it's not really as safe as it was back in Singapore. So the area where I was living in had like drug addicts littering the streets. So it's quite scary for me to come home in the evening after school and come back from the city. So I really made sure that I had to be aware of my surroundings.
So far, being a vet tech, right? Have you experienced or faced any misconceptions about being a vet tech?
I say the most common misconception is people tend to think that this job is easy, we have it easy, we go to work, we play with cats and dogs. It's really not about playing with cats and dogs. It's really about wrestling your animals that are uncooperative, and then you get bitten in the process, and some days, they urinate and poop on you, and you get yelled at with your stressed out clients. So I would say it's a very grueling job. It's really not an easy job. At the end of the day, you're not just going through your practical work, but you need to know the theory behind what you're doing. So after long days at work, you're really mentally and physically exhausted. So it's really not an easy job as what people think it is.
Because like really like this job isn't very like you say playing with animals, and like it's really more behind it, right? Like just really more focusing on taking care of animals. So what were your greatest challenges throughout your journey of being a vet tech, and how do you overcome it?
So when I first started off as a vet tech, I really wasn't comfortable working with dogs because I didn't understand their behavior and their body language. So it took me a while to, accustom myself to that. So I decided to volunteer at local dog shelters, get myself used to them, understand their behavior. And because I work at a shelter clinic, so I work really closely with all these dogs, and it really helped me gain confidence in trying to overcome that fear.
So like being a Muslim vet tech, I'm sure like it's not been easy. So what are some of the challenges you had when you first started? Like, did the people around you disagree with your career choice?
It was quite hard to convince my parents at first because when I told them I wanted to pursue vet tech after my O-levels, they were quite hesitant to allow me. They wanted me to actually pursue biomedical sciences at TP, but I wasn't too keen because it wasn't something that I was very passionate about. So they eventually gave in and they were very supportive of me in the end. I would say it's not the same with the people around me, let's say my neighbors. I do have a religious teacher that lives within my unit, and she will be quite apprehensive whenever I talk about my job, or she would pass off a sarcastic remark when she talks to me. So for me, I feel that as long as my job, as long as I have good intentions and carry out the act of purification at the end of the day after I handle the dogs, there shouldn't be anyone or anything that should stop me from doing something that I love most.
So Atika, just a special question.
Yep.
Can I ask who was your favorite teacher when you were back in Temasek Poly?
It would definitely be Mr. Eldon Stowe, because he really nurtured my learning when I was in TP.
Yeah, you sure though?
Hello!
You sure you're not
Sure.
kidding me, yeah?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, hi everyone. Eldon here.
Hello.
Yeah, I believe I've taught Atika some lessons in practical
Yep.
modules, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, thank you for joining us today, and I'm the special guest. Okay, just trying to use this opportunity to catch up with you, Atika.
Yep.
Yeah, so actually I was at the background listening into the conversations that you had with Anna and Elena. But one interesting thing, right, that I know that I want to understand, right, is, I mean, after graduating, you went through the hassle of going overseas to study, and then you mentioned some parts of it not very safe, and a lot of things that you were doing, new to you as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and to the point that you are working in a job and rise up to a senior vet tech. What is your main motivation that keeps you in this profession for this number of years?
I guess for me, I really enjoy the job processes itself. Working with animals really makes me happy. I mean, it's very difficult at the end of the day, but when I see the animals going home healthy, going back to their families all well and healthy, it really brings me so much joy because I feel that I've contributed to their health and seeing them, getting discharged from hospital. So I also do have students from overseas and as well as Temasek Poly, and seeing them learn within the comforts of the clinic, it really, motivates me to be a better leader, better vet tech, to show them that, this job is really not just about working with animals, but it's more of the learning process, enjoying it, and also working together with others and understanding why you started as a vet tech in the beginning.
Okay, yeah, I think that's really important, and I believe you have opportunity. I mean, the last round we had some interns over there with you, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I believe you see fulfillment in nurturing and guiding these new vet techs that are uprising. Do you?
Yep, definitely. Yeah, when I see them getting good grades or even enjoying their jobs, it really brings me so much joy that I've actually contributed and helped them through.
you know, from a perspective of educator lah in TP, right? And through your education in uni and profession right now, you know, I just want to, you know, help perhaps these two new, we're not new anymore, year two students, okay, appreciate what they have in school right now. So maybe you can share with us like how your education in TP back then, right, actually help you, you know, I mean, I'm not sure whether you are ahead of people in your class the last time in uni and stuff like that. But do you have an upper edge against all of them?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was in uni, I didn't have to do the first and second year. Actually, I jumped straight into third year. So it was I was thrown into doing my internships and placements straight away. So definitely I had an upper edge because I understood how to carry out the anesthesia process during my placements, which was done back in TP. So we had like the surgeries and all that. I've understood how it goes from like beginning to end. So the students back there, they didn't really had that edge. So I was also like teaching them how I did a certain process, and they would learn from me and I would learn from them as well. So it's a very interesting experience for me because it's not just me mentoring, but it's also for me to learn from them on how I can improve myself further. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, all in all, TP education has been valuable to you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so Anna and Elena, you heard that.
How was like your journey studying in TP? Like, was it very tough, like some people might experience, or was it like quite smooth and like easy for you to transition into like working after graduation and also applying for uni?
I would say I had a fair bit of trouble, studying the theory portion of my studies in TP because I'm not very theoretical in my work. So I was more of a practical person. So definitely, my internships and placements really helped me a lot because not only did I get to do a hands-on learning, but I also managed to meet new people, and contacts to me were very important. So I even got like my current job through knowing my boss during my internships and placements. So I didn't really rely mostly on my theoretical knowledge or my grades that I had in TP. Going into uni, most of them knew where I came from. They actually knew Temasek Poly in UQ, which was really nice, and they actually gave me more opportunities to try because they knew how TP's background actually, uh, you know, is a foundational criteria for the students, and they actually allowed me to do like IV catheterization, which is not something that they will allow students to do back there. But because they knew that I had that background in TP, they allowed me to do all these things there, and it's a different experience for me there as well. Yeah.
Wow, okay. I mean, like, I read a bit of your CV, right? You mentioned that you actually had a lot of opportunities. You did a lot of things, right, in uni and after graduation. So how do you chance upon all these good deals and stuff like that?
Definitely contacts. I had a lot of contacts. I think reaching out to your superiors during your placements and internship is very important because they allow you to secure place or work opportunities in the future. So I also feel that going out beyond my comfort zone, like trying out new things like say pathology and microbiology that I explained earlier, it gives me also the opportunity to meet new people, and to in turn would then give me great opportunities at work, and that's how I get contacts and expand myself from there.
I think another concern that a lot of students have, right, is, I mean, just being real, okay, is about job prospect and opportunities.
Yep.
Do you agree? Yep. So as a vet tech, right, what are some of the examples of growth and development that these students can have once they embark on this journey?
I say this is also a common misconception with the students because they think that being a vet tech, you're just going to be a vet tech forever. No, being a vet tech, you have a very big opportunity to grow. So you start off, yes, as a junior vet tech, and then you carefully advance. And then if you're actually very good in something, you can actually specialize in that particular area that you wish to specialize in, say surgery or even hospitalization. For me, I started off as a surgical vet tech, then I did surgeries and then became a senior vet tech. So eventually, I even had talks with my boss to even plan to take up a role as a practice manager in the future, which is just in talking, but it's very uncommon for vet practices in Singapore to actually accept vet techs, but you can actually go higher up in this, the scale of the veterinary field. It's not just being stagnant as a vet tech, you can actually take up managerial roles or even accountings to actually help in your practice. So what's good for me is that my boss has been very supportive of me. So all this while he's been trying to provide me with ample opportunities to try to shoulder this role so that eventually I'll get to manage my own practice in the future.
Great. There you go. So people who are listening in, you know that being a vet tech is not just there, right? There's many other opportunities that are there available, for those that are willing to seek it. Do you agree?
Yes, correct. You can't stay stagnant. Basically, in this field, you have to keep going. If you stop learning, as I said, learning agility is very important. You have to keep learning and upgrade yourselves and your skill sets.
Great.
You said you mentor junior vet techs and even vet tech students. So what are some advice that you've given to them?
For them, I would say I always tell them never to give up because, in this job, you do get occasional burnouts from working because it's very tiring and it should be something that should deter you from, completing your studies. I always tell them to remember why you started in this line in the first place and how you can make a difference to society by working in this field. So it really helps them to boost their confidence and try harder.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. So you mentioned burnout. So how do you overcome burnout yourself?
I usually try to, go out with my friends during my off days. I don't, focus strictly on my jobs. When it's my off day, I really don't think about my job. I enjoy myself. And when I go back to work, I focus again and, do the treatments for my patients, make sure they are healthy.
So from a perspective of a newcomer like Anna Elena here, embarking into this industry, what advice do you have for them to start to adopt certain thinking or practices that can help them, become stronger just like you?
I guess you have to learn to be more resilient. I mean, one day someone's going to come in and going to yell at you, and you have to just keep calm and understand their situation. Give your best feedback and knowledge on how you want to overcome that situation. So I would say to take every day as a new learning opportunity. So don't be afraid to fail because you'll definitely fail. And because if you're not failing, you're not learning as well. So I would say to learn from all these valuable mistakes that you make and do better in what you're doing.
Atika, to round up, right, this series, we usually ask the last question, right? Which is what I'm going to ask you now. Okay, so because the series is called Dear Younger Me, right? So if you have like one thing, right, to advise yourself when you were back in poly, what would it be? Difficult, right?
Good question. Push on and strive for what you believe is the best for you. Because I know through this job, I had so many disadvantages because I wasn't able to work well with dogs in the beginning, or I was afraid, and people were saying things about me, saying that I shouldn't be working this job. I would say, for a younger me, just push on and strive for what you love best, and the outcome would still be something that you would appreciate and be proud of in the end.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Younger Me. We hope you have learned more about the veterinary technician profession. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, where we will be posting more videos about other professions.